Hey, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Controlled Interest, where we talk about video games and everything happening in the industry. Episode 12. As always, I'm joined by Jordan and Dominic. What's up, guys?
Hola, mi amigos.
Yeah, hola, definitely.
So, getting into what we've been playing this week. I said last week I was going to be playing through Lords of the Fallen, but I actually forgot that I had bought the season pass for Trials Fusion, which is a 2D, timed game that's really difficult. Takes everything I love about 2D platformers, which is interesting because I don't normally like racing games, but this game's all about timing and trying to finish the level as fast as you can with as few faults. So I got into that and I played the last 4 DLC packs. I think it came out with 6, and those came out a long time ago. I just forgot I had them. So I've been playing a lot of that, just because I don't have Dark Souls 3, so I wanted something to really piss me off. And that game's really good at that. So I've just been playing Trials Fusion. I actually got into the Paragon beta, which is the MOBA from Epic, and it's pretty cool. I don't think they're doing anything crazy to change the MOBA genre. It doesn't entice me to want to play it more, but it's there and it was interesting to play. It looks better than all of them, but it doesn't play better. So that was kind of disappointing. I don't think it did everything I wanted it to do, but I've only played one game. But the art style is really cool, and like I said, it looks really pretty. It looks better than any other MOBA out there. A lot better than a lot of games. Because it's Epic. They're very familiar with the Unreal Engine, so obviously their games are going to look fantastic. Just Trials Fusion, Paragon. There was something else. I've been playing Minecraft a little bit. I think that's pretty much it. Not been playing too much really. What about you guys?
So I've been doing a couple things. I picked up, as you guys know, the original Legend of Zelda on 3DS Virtual Console, and also Super Mario Bros. 3. So going back in time a little bit here to play some NES games. And this could be a whole topic for another day, I guess, but it's interesting. It's something like I feel like I should do because I should know, especially Zelda. I mean, a franchise I love. I've never played the original, right?
Yeah.
It's old. I'll say that much.
It's different too.
It's very different. I've always been in love with how Dark Souls kind of plops you in a world without any context. The original Legend of Zelda, famously, literally, just you start the game and you're just in a field and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't tell you anything. You don't have any weapons. So, for example, when I started, didn't have a weapon. I didn't go in that first cave like you're supposed to. I went along a path and wandered around for 10 minutes without a sword, trying to survive. And it didn't work great because it doesn't control very well.
Yeah.
It was made in 1980, whatever. But so eventually I found the sword and it's a little bit better. But then also I picked up Pokemon Y. And that will be a topic later in the show today, so I'll get into that a little later. So
Awesome. A lot of mobile action, it seems like, right?
Yeah, the 3DS is, I don't get a ton of time to play console-esque games, right? So, but I can just cram hours into my 3DS, so.
Jordan, what about you? You step on Persona yet, or are you still Witcher 3ing it up?
Yeah, I haven't gotten back to Persona quite yet, but have no fear that will get done before episode 20.
Where the hair goes.
Yeah, exactly. Originally today I was going to make my topic about Quantum Break impressions, but decided to go with something else, so I guess I'll use this time to give you guys my thoughts on the game. I am midway through Act 4 out of 5, so I'm getting pretty close to the end of the game. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently, but so far this is my game of the year. Yeah, Quantum Break, man, I'm in love with it. As I said last week, I think it's miles ahead of Uncharted 4 as far as third-person action adventure and third-person shooters. And something I wanted to point out was this whole TV show thing that they do in between the acts. I know a lot of people have talked about it already, but for me, I see the fact that Remedy thinks, or not that they think, they're trying to, kind of revolutionize the industry in a certain way and change how things are done and change how a story's told in a video game. And to be honest, I wouldn't say that they've like completely revolutionized anything at all. These are just like 20-25 minute episodes of this show that for the most part doesn't interact very much with the main characters of the game except for the villains. And so it's really supplementary. I mean, honestly, I think you could just play the game without the show and you would be okay. There really wouldn't be too much lost on you. But I do think that they're making important strides in storytelling, and I think that this was a risk and a chance that they took that paid off. Like I said, I don't think they're revolutionizing anything, but I think they're really just the tip of the iceberg. And I think they're going to be the first ones that you see where you can kind of look down the road and see how a lot of other studios, game development studios, would take a cue from the way Remedy told the story in this game. So I don't think everybody's just going to start like adding web shows to their video games. But I think that this will get the industry thinking outside the box. And I did talk about the fact that I think, my favorite part of Uncharted 4 was definitely the story, and Naughty Dog are certainly great storytellers, but I really want to applaud Remedy for, I mentioned the fact that I felt like Uncharted 4 was just lacking any innovation whatsoever. And even though I said I don't think they're revolutionizing storytelling here, I think they're definitely pushing it in a new direction, and I really appreciate that from Remedy. So those are my impressions on Quantum Break. Really awesome. Time powers are so much fun to play with. Feels kind of like Infamous, which of course I love. And I would 100% recommend this to anybody that has an Xbox and a PC and likes third-person action adventure. Besides that, though, I think I just played Quantum Break and Witcher Hearts of Stone this week. Got pretty far into Hearts of Stone, probably about a little less than halfway through with that campaign, trying to do all the side missions and all the treasure hunts and the Witcher contracts and all that. So I'm really digging into it. Like I said, it's kind of more of just the same awesome game that I've come to know and love over the past year. And I think they are going to be doing... It seems to me like the second expansion, Blood and Wine, is going to be more different than the main game. They're going to be changing a lot of things up. So for this first expansion, I think they did a really good job of introducing new characters and giving you new things to do. They added rune crafting as a mechanic, and so there's all kinds of cool new stuff in there. If you like The Witcher, I'd totally recommend it because it's a great expansion pass. So that's what I've been playing.
So let's get right into the news here, guys. So the first story is a rumor, but there was a leaked poster. The story comes by way of Game Informer Ben Reeves. Destiny's new expansion may be called Rise of Iron. According to a reportedly leaked Destiny poster, Bungie's epic online shooter's next expansion may be called Rise of Iron, which makes sense because they have the Iron Banner in that game. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
The studio is working on another expansion to bridge the gap to the next title. Destiny fans are eagerly awaiting more content. I jumped off the Destiny bandwagon before Taken King. I felt that game was very lackluster in its content. And I didn't feel like paying them an extra $40 to get a game I should have got with my first $60 I spent on the game. That's just the way I personally take it. I had fun with Destiny. By no means were the gameplay mechanics bad. The shooting mechanics were second to none. But the game itself was very lacking. To Jordan's point, this would probably be what I would say the opposite of Uncharted 4, where they nail all of the gameplay, but there's literally no story. And to Dom's point of, I know Dom loves Uncharted 4, and I would take a game with story with subpar, in some people's opinions, mechanics, than a game with fantastic game mechanics and literally no story that I care about. That's just the way I look at it personally. So after that Destiny news, we have a really quick, it's not really a news story, but over on the Japanese Pokemon Twitter account, they basically stated that, last week we got the trailer showing us the new starters. On June 2nd, we're going to get more news, which I assume is going to be, I don't know, more Pokemon, could be more... We already know what's taking place in Hawaii. We already know the characters are a lot more humanistic like they look a lot more proportionate. We know that we've seen the rival, so I don't know what else they could show that'd be super important. Maybe there's stuff that like huge Pokemon. Like I love Pokemon, but I don't know what else I would need to see. I'm already buying the game, But I guess there's going to be some new announcements on June 2nd, which is in time for everything else leading up to E3. Speaking of E3, this comes by way of IGN. And Marty Sleva, everyone's favorite podcaster that's on almost everything IGN at this point, he says Rockstar Games' next projects will be revealed soon. Whether it'll be the long-rumored Red Dead Redemption 2 remains to be seen. Rockstar Games will be revealing some exciting future projects soon. This news came during Take-Two Interactive's quarterly earnings report. During the report, Rockstar's parent company explained, looking ahead, we expect to grow non-GAAP revenues and earnings in fiscal 2018, based on a robust development plan that extends well beyond the current fiscal year. Take-Two didn't specify what the future projects might be or whether they'd be revealed at next month's E3. This news follows a recent report leaked of the currently unannounced Red Dead 2's map, which also pointed to the game taking place prior to the original. Rockstar's latest full release was Grand Theft Auto 5, which was scored a 10, saying that it's an amazing world, yada yada yada, talking about GTA 5. What do you guys think Rockstar will announce, if they will announce at E3, and do you think we're going to be getting a game this year?
So I heard a different rumor that none of anything they're working on is going to release in 2016. That the next thing rather they're going to release will be March or spring 2017 at the earliest. So, and I think that will be Red Dead 2. But then I think they also have something else in the pipeline, so like a new IP or some sort of spin-off of GTA. I don't think we're going to see a GTA 6 quite yet, but that's my guess.
Yeah, I think it'll be a while before we see GTA 6, hopefully.
I'm wondering if they're kind of screwing the pooch with this whole Red Dead 2 thing.
I don't know if you found the story or not, Dom, but you said you wanted to talk about NVIDIA releasing some new PC gamer nerd stuff.
Yeah, some weird nerd teraflops and some other crazy business.
Mega
teraflops.
Mega tups.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, NVIDIA announced 2 new graphics cards. And the review embargoes recently got lifted, so now there's reviews up. And essentially, they've cut in half like the price to performance ratio, or I guess maybe doubled it. Essentially, for $600 now, you can buy a single graphics card that will play any game at ultra settings at 4K resolution at a full 60 FPS, which has never happened before in a single card. And previously, you would probably need 2 cards costing a total of like $1,200 to do anything like this. So it's getting much more and more affordable to game at 4K on PC. So just some cool things I wanted to bring up. If anyone's into PC gaming here, I mean it's really got me wondering whether or not I want to buy a Neo this fall, assuming that's what happens, or maybe I build another PC. Obviously it's a bigger cost, but it might be more worth it compared to a Neo, which isn't going to do anything really at 4K compared to what a PC with this guy could do.
Homefront: The Revolution came out this week to less than stellar reviews. And a lot of people are actually pointing that towards its terrible frame rate issues. A lot of people are having very bad frame rate issues. The story I'm talking about comes from Game Informer by way of Mike Futter. The headline reads, Dam Buster promises to fix Homefront: The Revolution's problems. Dam Buster is actually the developer who worked on the game. They're owned by publisher Deep Silver. And it states, while we haven't finished putting Homefront: The Revolution through its paces, our early impressions aren't terribly flattering. Dam Buster has acknowledged the game's glaring problems. In his look at the cooperative resistance mode, Jeff Cork had some less than positive things to say about the game's performance. Even after installing the latest update, Homefront: The Revolution runs poorly on the PlayStation 4. The frame rate sputters around, occasionally hitting around 30 FPS, but dipping regularly. It makes the shooting, which already feels mushy and unfulfilling, virtually unplayable at times. Dam Buster agrees about the frame rate. In a post on the official forums from community manager Greg Turner, the company lays out the forward. It has been a long road for us and we're only getting started. But we're also aware that performance, particularly frame rate, is not currently where we want it to be, and we are working on it through additional patches to help address these issues. So I think this, really quick before we get into your guys' thoughts on this, I think this had to do with this game getting out there. This game was in development hell for a very long time, at least the Homefront as a franchise. And I think Deep Silver is probably pushing these guys to get this game out because we've heard about this game for so long, and they're like, just get this game done, just get this game done, just get this game done. And I think they had a deadline that they couldn't move around. They're not Naughty Dog where they can delay it. They're not these big studios. They're these guys that are handling this IP that was purchased, and I think they were like, we have to hit this deadline, and I don't think they necessarily got the testing that they needed to get done, the alpha and beta testing, the performance testing, and they had to release a shitty product. And I think now the developer has to sit here and make customers not put their name in the dirt because it's something they had to deal with the publisher, right? That's what I'm feeling from this anyways.
I'm with you. And after what we just heard about Battlefront cutting short what the game should have been to hit a release date, that's at least better than releasing a product that doesn't even work.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not great either. I mean, obviously money is on their minds, but at least Battlefront worked and worked really well for what it had. But this is, from what I've heard, this is not good. I don't know how you can release a product like this at this scale. I mean, this should be a big game. Like, I don't know. I don't know how they let this go.
And Deep Silver isn't that big of a publisher, so to me, I think they were trying to meet deadlines probably for investors, and they're not a big publisher to begin with. So I think it was completely a money thing. And I mean, something might come out later that we found out it was the developer's fault, not necessarily the publisher. Who knows? But I think at this point, Dambuster, I don't want to fault them for it. I think they're going to work their hardest to get these patches out to make the game run right. I really think this was a publishing issue. Now Dambuster's name is thrown in the dirt. They're like, these guys can't deliver a good game, So, I don't know. It's unfortunate.
Honestly, I feel like Dambuster's damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, he was going to piss someone off. Either the game's late or it's not good, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I just feel like, people should be counting their stars here because it's a miracle this game even came out, period. I mean, this, development hell is understating it completely. This game was just all kinds of crazy. Like, Crytek used to be working on this game, and they had employees just start walking out because of the fact that they hadn't been paid in months. Like, this game has been drugged through the mud and then some. So, the people that are paying $60 for it, they don't care how long it took to develop or
they want to
what
play
kind of hell it went through. They want a good game. So I get that too. That sucks for them,
I think the best thing Dambuster can do is one of two things. They can obviously get these patches out as fast as they possibly can, right, and make sure the game runs well. And they have 2 points to move forward to get in the good graces of gamers. They can either A, release a stellar DLC that's amazing, right, that just blows everything out of the water. Maybe it's even better than the original game, and it works perfectly fine. And they're like, this is what we're actually capable of when we have our timeline, when we can make a game when we want to make it, right, without having to push deadlines. Or two, if that's not their, if the sales aren't great, maybe they do have an opportunity to make a next Homefront game, right? And maybe at that point they do have the time to invest in the next Homefront, whatever it happens to be. I think they have opportunities to get in the good graces of gamers. I think until more information is out there, I think we need to treat this as a publishing issue. And, I think look at Deep Silver to be troubled. Don't look at Dambuster. I don't think it's their fault, This is a Deep Silver issue. But alas, we don't know until all the information comes out. Our last story here comes by way of Kotaku. Brian Ashcraft writes, Hideo Kojima isn't making a new game engine, which is surprising to a lot of people because people know that he is very particular about his video games. And, for instance, with Metal Gear Solid 5, they made the Fox engine from the ground up, which took forever. But obviously it paid off because that game looks fantastic. And unfortunately, like Jordan and I were talking about before the show, it probably is the only game that'll feature that engine, unless it's their Pro Evolution Soccer game. But so the story writes, thankfully for his upcoming PS4 game, Hideo Kojima won't go back to the game engine drawing board, at least for now. He states, I honestly think it's better to make your own engine and tools. However, since I want people to play the first title as soon as possible, we're going to use a third-party engine, tune it for our needs, and create with that. For the past few months, Kojima has been jetting around the world, meeting with other game developers and visiting studios. Kojima added that the reason was to look at what kind of development tech and tools were available. Now that Kojima will be using a third-party game engine, does that mean we can expect that big AAA title sooner rather than later? I can't say when, Kojima told the audience, but I'd like everyone to play it as soon as possible, but this will take time. So, Kojima, I think, really just wants to push out another game because he knows he makes good games, right? And I think that... Is Sony publishing this next game? I'm not too familiar. Are they
Yes,
publishing
I
the
believe so.
Kojima Productions game?
No, it's a console exclusive for PlayStation 4, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be on PC.
Okay. So it's
They're fronting the bill though, I believe,
I think they'll probably put some money towards it at
blank
least.
check.
to get that exclusivity. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think he has every right to do whatever he wants at this point. He has a proven track record, and I think this is awesome news for PlayStation gamers because you don't have to wait. You'll have to wait a little bit, but I don't think you're gonna have to wait forever. So I'm not a big Metal Gear guy, but I respect Kojima for what he's done for the industry. Are you guys excited that he's going to be using a third-party engine, or would you guys like to wait longer for his own specified engine?
Time will tell, but he's the kind of the guy I feel that people would follow him off a cliff if he told them that there was a good game at the bottom that he made. So, I mean, he's worth trusting. He has the reputation, so I trust him.
I had actually been thinking about this a lot before you brought this up today, Jared. Because I was thinking about how they had built the Fox engine for MGS5 and how it sucks that he just can't use that anymore, yet he was an integral part of its creation. And so I was thinking, a lot these past couple days, like since he revealed that character model from the game, is he going to build this whole new engine? Is he going to use something else? What will he use if he uses someone else's? And it doesn't seem to specify what engine he's going to use, correct?
Yeah, it doesn't specify. It just says he's going to be using a third-party engine, which I'm assuming since he was traveling around the world, he was figuring out what would look best or work best. So
yeah, I think he's going to go with Unreal 4 just because there's honestly no reason not to, unless you are going to make your own, which he isn't. So Unreal 4 seems like the right choice. It seems like the obvious choice. I mean, there's a few other engines out there, but I just don't think that any of them would suit him better than Unreal 4. So that's my guess. Even though he says, this is going to help get the game out a little earlier, I'm still thinking it's not. I think we're going to be waiting until 2019 before we get to play this game, or even think about playing it, I guess. Yeah, I think it's good that he is skipping that one big step so that he can get down to work, but I mean, we all know how Kojima operates, and it's not at anyone else's pace than his own, especially now that he's, really in charge of his own deal. So I think he's going to take his sweet time, and I definitely think it's going to be a while before we get to play this one.
thank you guys for listening to the news portion of the podcast. We're going to be getting into the topics. So, Jordan, what do you have for us today in your topic?
So today, we're getting closer and closer to E3, so I thought instead of using this time for like an E3 predictions topic, which we'll get to closer to the actual event, what I wanted to do was kind of break down the two consoles that the three of us are most familiar with, which is PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So I guess, Jared, you'll be on the Xbox One side, Dom, you'll be on the PlayStation side, and I'll kind of be in the middle since I play both. But what I want to do is kind of break down each console, what the things that you love about it, whether it's, the user interface or even like physical parts of the box itself that you think look cool. And then, of course, like several of the exclusives that really entice you to play this console. Just give me some reasons why Xbox is awesome, why PlayStation's awesome, and I'll kind of bounce back and forth between the two.
So we're going to have a console war.
No, because I think after you talk about what you like about the PS4, before I get into what I like about the Xbox One, I want to say what I enjoy about the PS4 as well, even though I don't own one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think we can bounce back and forth on that. But yeah, I guess just don't be afraid to get down to the nitty gritty. Like I said, if you even want to talk about like the physical specs of the box itself, like whatever you want to talk about for your console or the opposite is fine. So I guess, Jared, take us away. Tell me about the old X-Bone.
Alrighty, I'll go first like Xbox did when they unveiled the Xbox One, and hopefully I don't screw it up as bad. So first off, I want to get to why I bought an Xbox One at launch over a PS4. The biggest reason for me as a gamer wasn't exclusives, because there was nothing really worthy of it at that point. It was that more of my friends were buying an Xbox One. Simply that. I was fine going either way. I don't know if I've explained this on the show before, but I grew up with a PlayStation and a PlayStation 2. I didn't own an Xbox. I was a Sony fanboy. I loved my Crash. I loved my Spyro. Like, I was a huge Sony fan. And then once the 360 came around, all of my friends owned a 360. No one owned a PS3 because none of us could afford one. So that's why I moved to Xbox 360, and it was just a natural progression. Getting into why I like the Xbox One, I think its user interface is great. That was one of my biggest gripes with the PS3. I did own one towards the end of the generation just for Last of Us. I absolutely despise the PlayStation UI. I don't know if it changed on PS4. Dom will get into that. But I love the Xbox One user interface. It's easy. It's simple. You can snap things. You can customize things. When it comes to achievements and trophies, I'm sure if I had a PlayStation 3 and 4, I would love trophies. But I love achievements. It's kind of my legacy on Xbox, which is cool. I also like the animation for achievements. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's like this little like circle that bloops up, and then it extends and it shows achievement unlocked. And yeah, it's really cool. I just like the animation for that. I like a lot of the games that have been through Xbox's legacy, even though I didn't buy Halo 5. I'm a huge Halo fan, so before Halo 5 came out, I was under the impression I was going to get it because I've never not bought Halo 5, but it just really rubbed me the wrong way. What else? I want to get to Quantum Break. I haven't been able to. I think I'm going to try to get to that. A lot of this is just barred from me not having expendable income. But yeah, it's familiar, and it's even though I was cool to jump ship to go to the PS4, I'm not going to lie, I'm comfortable being back in the ecosystem I'm used to. It would have sucked to have to start over and get trophies and not have any kind of legacy there, so that really would have affected me. But yeah, I think if you want to know an Xbox, I think it's the more social out of the two consoles, to be completely honest with you. I think if you're a multiplayer gamer, I think Xbox is really great for that. Their social aspects of their party platform and everything, I think it's really solid. They've been known for shooters for a long time. I think their social features are just so well done. And I just really love the console. It's just home to me. I like that it's Microsoft because it works with Windows 10, and I like having that cross over from my PC. I like being able to stream directly to my PC. You can do that on PS4 now, which is awesome. But yeah, I love the fact that it's so in bed with Microsoft. I think that's why its UI is better. I think that's why it sometimes runs better. It's just because they know about that stuff. But by no means do I think Xbox One has a reason why you should own it and not a PS4. I think that it has games that would warrant you to own an Xbox One. I think Quantum Break is one of those games. Once again, I haven't played it, but from everything I've heard, it seems like a game that entices you. Plenty of Xbox exclusives coming. Cuphead, Below, those are just two to name. Like, those games are going to be awesome. I highly doubt they won't be. Yeah, I don't want to go too long. I want to hear what Dom has to say about PS4. That's just why I love Xbox One, why I chose when it launched. So.
Yeah.
Wait, is Below an Xbox exclusive?
Yep, Xbox One exclusive.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Yep.
I will say, I will buy an Xbox One confirmed for Alan Wake 2 when that's announced.
Awesome.
I'll give you my word on that right now.
All right.
So I guess for me, the most important thing, and you hit it first, was where your friends are. That's where you want to go.
Yep.
Because generally, when you're playing with your friends, it's going to be a better experience, even if it's on a crappier game. And most games are on both of these consoles anyway. So after that, the next point you want to look at is what exclusives does each console have that you prefer?
Yep.
For me...
And care about.
Yeah, exactly. For me, this gen, PlayStation was just an easy choice. The 360 generation. I had played all the Halo games, all the Gears games, all 3 Fable games. Their exclusives were just getting tired on me a little bit. All great games. I love
and you liked
Alan
games. Wake too, so.
And Alan Wake was probably my favorite exclusive, actually. Now that you bring it up, but yeah. So, but after that, I got fatigued from those, I guess, and I wanted to experience some of the stuff, some of the exclusives PlayStation had to offer. And The Last of Us was a big reason why I made that jump. I like you felt I had to experience that in one way, shape, or form. And I wanted to try all the Uncharted games. And actually, I think I made the decision before Bloodborne was even announced because would have had to have been before. But what put the cap on it was the whole announcement fiasco. So, when these two were announced, I mean, I put a pre-order in for a PlayStation 4 based on what went down at E3 because I didn't, I wanted to be able to sell games and this and that, not have to be always online. Obviously, that changed, but that was a big reason why I made the decision at the time. And at that point, and after it changed back and they reverted on those features, I mean, it was like I wasn't changing back to Xbox for that now.
Yeah.
I want to mention one thing real quick. One of the biggest things that I love Xbox for is backwards compatibility. I love that I can play Dead Space and all these games that I own on my 360 and I have to turn on my 360 and not have to buy them again.
Again, if that was announced, like when they announced the console, as well as them not having, right, if that coupled with them not having those other features when they announced,
not having the worst spokesman in the history of video game press conferences, yeah.
I probably would have bought an Xbox if that were the case.
If Phil Spencer was at that launch conference and he was the guy, I think this would have been a lot closer. I don't think maybe Xbox One wouldn't be as far behind. I think it'd be a lot closer because Phil Spencer has a way of talking that I forgot his name, but it was bad. Yeah.
What was it, Don Matrick or something?
Yeah, Don Matrick, yeah.
That guy was a freaking joke, dude. Yeah. He was, oh my God.
There's never been a bigger ball dropped.
So besides the exclusives, what else do you love about the PS4?
I mean, why? I guess technically it's a little more powerful than the Xbox, but I think that's mostly like negligible. I mean, unless you're like playing them side by side, you're not really going to notice any of that. That is truly a dick measuring contest when people say, well, PS4 is better because it's 0.5 times faster or whatever.
If it was drastically better, like if it was drastically faster and like better, then people notice that, but it's not to the point where it's
right. Yeah. So other than that, I love the PS4. UI is also pretty simple. I do have some complaints about it, but for the most part, it's easy to figure out. So, the controller is fantastic. I don't play a lot of multiplayer games. Really, I don't play multiplayer games hardly at all, and I don't play with other people hardly at all. So that wasn't a factor when I made that decision. So it's really the exclusives for me. Like,
if I had the money to do so, I would own both consoles. Period.
And this is a conversation worth having as opposed to the PC versus console conversation.
Yeah.
Where console gamers are always, well, how was Uncharted on your PC? It was like, I would bet that 90% of PC gamers also own one or two consoles for those exclusives alone. But here, I think console gamers are more likely to have one or the other.
I think, you're more likely if you get a room full of 100 PC gamers and a room full of 100 console gamers, I think you have a higher percentage of those PC gamers owning consoles than the console gamers owning gaming PCs.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think the whole fanboy argument, I think you grow out of it as you get older. I think just there comes a point now where it's like there's no point to have that argument. Like, competition breeds the best market for both people. Like, PlayStation owners should and want Xbox to do well because guess what? If Xbox isn't doing well, then you're going to get screwed over. Just like the same thing for Xbox. Like, a competition breeds excellence. And, like, if these companies aren't vying for you and doing their best to make the experience better because they don't have any competition, then you have products like Madden. Like, I love Madden, but Madden doesn't have a competitor because they only own an NFL license. Look at NBA 2K and NBA Live. EA makes all these other great sports games, but it seems like they don't have any competition. The one sports game where they have competition, they can't even release their game year to year because it doesn't sell. 2K beat them on that. I know it's going a different direction, but it's like, competition breeds the best for consumers. And I think you'd be dumb to want one to fail over the other, So
I mentioned last week on the podcast that the reason I am a PlayStation guy is because of Naughty Dog and the Jak and Daxter series on PS2. Before that, I was more of a Nintendo kid, I would say. I had NES, N64, GameCube. And then after the PS2, just like you, Jared, my family got an Xbox 360 just because, PS3 was out of the price range. So as soon as I could, I bought my own PS3 and made that like my primary console. And then by that time, I was just a PlayStation person. Like, that was my home base. And even without trophies, that was the system and the ecosystem that mattered to me. So I was kind of locked in for PS4 at that point. the purchase decision for me buying a PS4 was Infamous Second Son. As soon as I started seeing previews for that game, I was just sold, and I was so ready to get a PS4 and so dying to have that game. So that was the initial spark for me. Comparing the two, I would say, yeah, the boxes themselves, PS4 looks awesome, whether you got the white, black, whatever color you got. The Xbox looks like just a big old hunk of junk to me. It's just
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Also, if the 20th anniversary PS4 would have been available at launch, I might have bought a PS4.
Oh, man, that thing. That thing. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's how I feel about my white PS4. I think it's like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And I kiss it frequently. But anyways, yeah, the Xbox One, like, I do think it's pretty ugly. I think that I don't know how they made it that freaking big. Like, I don't know what the hell they were doing. I think it was because they didn't want them overheating like the 360s, and so they gave it extra space. But I really like the PS4 box. It sucks that it's like, it has like the front and back are like slanted. So if you want to get to the ports on the back, you have to like literally pick your console up. You can't just plug it in and look at it from the top like you could on an Xbox. Xbox One does a lot better job with multitasking.
Yep.
Like, anytime you want to multitask in PS4, you have to suspend or close the application that you're using.
Oh, man.
And with Xbox One, like Quantum Break, I was playing it the other day, and I wanted to watch some YouTube video, so I hopped out real quick, got on YouTube, watched the video, closed YouTube, hopped right back into Quantum Break, and I was going.
Yep.
And with PlayStation, like, it's still fast. It's not like you're waiting or anything, but yeah, it does have to suspend the application and then, get you moved over to the other one. So Xbox is way better when it comes to multitasking in that sense.
I think at this point, it's really, if you haven't bought one of these consoles yet, just do your research, see what you prioritize more, see what exclusives mean more to you, and just make the decision on your own. Like, you can't go wrong with either console. I mean, if you have the expendable income, I wowould say buy both. But I mean, a lot of people don't have that kind of income to do so. I do your research. They're both worth having. They're both great consoles. I think there's no wrong choice unless you buy a Wii U, of course. That's the wrong choice. That was a long topic. We went for a while, so let's get into the other topic here, which probably won't be as long. If you don't know by now, you're probably living under a rock. Nice to meet you, Patrick Starr. Disney Infinity is no more. Disney is stopped being a game publisher. They're now going to be licensing all of their properties to other people to make video games. This is really weird on the surface level because people are like, well, Disney Infinity wasn't that successful. It actually wasn't as successful as you think it was. Not from game sales, from over-manufacturing of the actual toys. They had a problem, a Nintendo problem, when Disney Infinity first launched, where they couldn't meet supply for the demand. So I think it was Disney Infinity either 2.0 or 3.0. They actually produced Infinity figures, and to their dismay, they didn't sell. So this is sad. Obviously, a lot of people love Disney Infinity. I wasn't a big Toys to Life guy. I think a lot of the figures are cool, and I want to buy some of them, the Amiibos and the Disney Infinity ones, but not for playing games with them. I think the bigger story here, like Jordan and I were talking about before the show started, was that Disney Interactive is no more, and that they're going to be licensing their stuff. So all of the Disney stuff, all of the Marvel stuff, all of the Star Wars stuff is going to be being licensed out. So what do you guys think about this? Is this a huge thing for Disney? Is this scary for the rest of the Toys to Life games?
Everyone's worried about Lego Dimensions and Skylanders now. I've thought this since Skylanders came out, that Toys to Life is another Rock Band Guitar Hero situation. I think it'll come and go. It's a fad, and I definitely think that parents have to be wising up to this. The fact that they're just like spending out the wazoo for these toys and these, the extra launch pad or whatever you got to get. It's like, just buy a game, just buy your kid a game. It's not worth all the extra crap, and it's very much money grubby. It's obvious that it's a cash grab. That's all these things have ever been. Really.
At least Lego has the Lego brand behind it, and you actually build something. Like, it's actually interactive. I think Lego has it over the other two. will
Definitely, I would agree.
Yeah.
And then I would say, not only you mentioned the closing of Disney Interactive, which is big, but also Avalanche Studios closing, which is not to be confused with the Avalanche that just released Just Cause 3 and Mad Max last year. That's a totally different studio. But Avalanche and Disney Interactive that have just closed under Disney are very important studios, and Disney Interactive's been around for years and years and years, since like even the 90s. I can remember playing PC games, Mickey Mouse Paint type crap. So it's sad to see them go. It's sad to see Disney just completely jumping out like this, and not even. I mean, sure, they're going to be licensing their stuff out, but it's kind of like Lionhead closing. It's just kind of out of the blue, and very surprising. So.
Yeah, it sounded like they had their own problems, within their organization. I don't think this is a sign that the whole Toys to Life thing is dying, which I agree with you. It's money grubby and it's stupid, and I'm obviously not into it, but I think there's a economic place for it because kids want these things, right? So I think Disney had their own problems inside, just some bad management going on or something. I don't think this is a sign of the whole industry, that whole thing being in trouble at all.
Do you think that Skylanders, like the Skylanders brand, not Spyro, but Skylanders, and not Lego, but Lego Dimension, do you think that's going to be around in 5 or 10 years?
Yeah. Maybe.
I say Lego will. I say Lego Dimensions
I say Lego has a chance, but if we see Skylanders on the shelf in 5 years, I'm going to be amazed.
Yeah, I don't think Skylanders has legs.
Probably in 5 years, they'll still be around. In 10 years, yeah, Skylanders might be gone by then.
Yeah.
It just, and you say parents have to wise up. Man, I've seen plenty of parents when I used to work at Best Buy. They walk in and their kids just like, I want this. The parents don't care. Parents, they're like, okay, I'll buy it for you. What does it do? Cool, whatever. Be quiet. I'll buy it for you.
And I get that, but when your kids got 20 figures, you're talking about like the starter pack with 3 figures, the pad, and the game,
you have no idea.
$100.
There was parents who would go in there with a basket, dude, and like scoop up a shelf. Like, it's insane.
Well, that's messed up. But I'm thinking like for most parents, once they see the trend of, okay, now we've bought the game and the 3 starter figures and the pad, and then they get to 10 figures, and then they get to 20 figures, and then you're like, okay, holy shit, I've spent, $300 on this single video game when I could have bought my kid a whole new console.
And I think it's parent understanding too. Like when I was a kid, my mom would, when I would want a video game, I would say, I want a couple of video games. I want one of these 2 video games. And I was a pretty smart kid. And she was like, well, which one will last you longer? And I said, well, this one probably. She's like, well, get that one then because it'll last you longer. And I think a lot of parents they don't understand video games like that. I don't think they have conversations with their kids like that. So they don't understand, like, if this video game goes away, those toys are pointless.
Yep.
Well, and they're not like action figures. They're on platforms. If anything, they're collector items to look at. They're not really
statues,
functional toys. If they were functional toys, that's why Lego has the up. They're actual functional toys,
Yeah.
So
this is the business model that like simply works best with kids. I mean, you see it in everything, like even from Happy Meal toys. Like,
well, Pokemon.
It was my prime example that, how do you sell your parents on buying you Silver Edition when you already have Gold?
Yep.
Well, what's the difference, right? Well, there's like 3 or 4 Pokemon that you can't get in this one. It's like,
and that leads you to buy the cards, which then lead you to buy this, which then lead you to buy I think out of the 2, Lego Dimensions has more legs, just because, for instance, if a parent's buying their kid Lego, which is, I think Lego's still way too expensive. They're so popular they shouldn't have to be as expensive as they are, but that's a different story. I think that because they're actual functional toys, I think that they have a way to extend their life as opposed to Skylanders. But who knows? We're not kids, so we're not in the zeitgeist there. But
I'll always be a kid.
I'll always be a kid.
I do want to say something real quick about Disney. I think they said, all right, we lost $150 million. That's a shit ton of money. But for Disney, they're saying,
it's a drop in the bucket.
Let's cut our losses and just get out of here. So they wanted to wash their hands of this. They wanted to drop it, move along, and just kind of forget that it happened.
If anything, this gets me excited for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 being a possible game. All of these like actual there's obviously already Star Wars games in the works. So that doesn't get me surprised. You know what would be awesome? Cuphead, right? Cuphead is awesome art style, cool. Imagine if Disney licensed a Steamboat Willie to that studio to make a Steamboat Willie game. They already have the art style down, you know? That'd be super dope. I would play that, personally.
I was just going to say that, you know, Disney wanted to wipe their hands of this and drop it and act like kind of it never happened. And for a company that big, they can do that. But they burned some people, man. Like, think of, like, the parents, even if they didn't notice it before, they're definitely going to notice it now when the kid's like, yeah, that game is done and they're not making any new figures and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, wait, what? The thing that we spent $400 on is no longer continuing and this, that, and the other? And, like, I'm sure they pissed gamers off that they killed off Disney Interactive. Like, I think they thought that it's like, all right, let's cut our losses and move on. But I think people are going to remember this, especially those who invested so much in Disney Infinity, because it was an investment.
Yeah, it was dumb for them to invest in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I don't blame them for doing so, but they should have seen it coming, you know. So that's our talk about Disney Infinity and, you know, Avalanche closing and Disney Interactive and everything. Hopefully all those guys landed jobs elsewhere because obviously they made a great game. It was the figures that kind of did them in, unfortunately. What's your topic here, Dom? You mentioned Pokemon earlier. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, staying on the line of kids games, I picked up Pokemon Y, like I mentioned, on 3DS.
Why did you pick up Y and not X?
I just liked the look of the guy on the cover. Better,
okay, the bird, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he looked a little cooler than like the weird
deer
thing on the other one. Yeah. So that's why I grabbed that one. Yeah, completely superficial decision, but
well, what else do you have to go by when it comes to Pokemon?
Yeah, exactly, and especially considering that the last Pokemon I played was Crystal version.
15 years.
15 years removed from
welcome
Pokemon.
Welcome back.
So,
well, might get a copyright strike there.
We did the math earlier, and so that means I was in first or second grade or so was the last time I played Pokemon.
That's like playing the original Super Mario Brothers and then not playing a Mario game until like Galaxy.
Can you imagine like the phenomenon you would feel? That would be like,
obviously crap. It's not the jump in game, you know, obviously it's not that wide of a gap, but it still is crazy that far between. So what do you I'm interested, what do you like most about the new Pokemon? Like are there any differences that are glaring that you noticed?
The one thing actually I will point out that I don't like is I think it's the third city that I've been to. I can't remember the name of it. It really zooms in on on that third person perspective.
Yeah,
it feels more like an action game in that sense when you're rollerblading
like
around.
You're talking about the big city, right? Like the really big. Yeah.
And it's fine, but it just feels weird. I want more in general, like to be zoomed out a little bit. Maybe, and I'm just not used to it. It's different. It's not necessarily worse. But that was one thing I remembered that I wanted to point out. But in general, the whole thing it's like I told you guys earlier. It's like seeing a movie about a book you've read.
Yeah.
Whereas the old Pokemon games, there is very little color, and the graphics were extremely limited.
2D Pokemon battles.
Exactly. You had to fill in a lot with your imagination, like you would reading a book. And then this is like seeing the movie, where all of a sudden, colors and everything and graphics are given to you. So it's cool. All the animations during the battles are actually really cool. I naturally picked up Charmander, and I named him Kevin. He's becoming my favorite so far.
Hi, Kevin.
Yeah, there's something to be said about it. They're childish games completely, but there's something to be said about like collecting monsters and training them.
Brilliant concept.
It's fun, man.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It definitely is. I don't think it's people get offended when people say this, but it is baby's first RPG. It's comforting. Like, it's just a comfortable game to go back to. You know what you have to do. It might be different sometimes, but it is a familiar path. It's like a nostalgia with a new sticker on it, you know? Like, it's very nostalgic, but there is some new stuff to it. So it's like familiar but not familiar. I love the Pokemon games. It's cool to see you playing one after that long.
Yeah, it's fun. There's some interesting new mechanics too. I mean, I've not been used to battling like with 2 Pokemon at a time and things like that, and getting attacked by hordes of Pokemon, which was really interesting. It's interesting. I like it. It's easy too. It's a little more mindless compared to where I've been playing Fire Emblem, which is like, difficult, like strategy. This is a little more like laid back. Like, I'm gonna just walk around in the grass and train my little Kevin. So.
And you went with your starter. You went with was Froakie, right?
Yeah, Froakie. I thought he looked the coolest. I usually pick the fire starter, but I'm glad I didn't, obviously, because I'm knowing that I get a Charmander early on.
Who are the starters in this one? It was Froakie, Chespin, and then the Fox one, right?
Fennekin or Fenneker, something like that. Yeah, he was
Fennekin,
a Fox-looking guy.
Yeah, that's probably the worst fire starter out of all of the games. It's probably the worst looking one. The fire starters are always cool, and that one just isn't.
I remember in Crystal version, because I did play that game a lot, even though it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The fire starter was that like porcupine-looking guy.
Cyndaquil?
I loved that guy.
Cyndaquil.
Yeah. He was my guy.
Quilava.
The first and second generations definitely had some of the coolest stars. Like Typhlosion was really cool looking. Obviously Charizard. Venusaur gets less cool. Like Bulbasaur is really cool, and then Ivysaur is less cool, and then Venusaur is really not cool.
I do not like them at all.
I like Bulbasaur. I think Bulbasaur is really cool. Venusaur is probably the worst looking one. He looks like something's wrong. Like, he was dropped as a child or something.
Jesus.
Is there anything else you want to mention about playing Pokemon? Like, is there anything going on that you didn't expect? Like, is there anything surprising at all? You said the double battles, right? Surprise you?
That just came out of nowhere too. I mean, I hit one of those trainers in a path, and all of a sudden, like, they threw out 2 Pokemon, and I didn't even know that was a possibility. And so I was kind of like, oh shoot, well, I'm glad I got 2 guys now.
Have you done a chain battle yet? I think that's what it's called. So when you're in the wild and you run into the grass and you run into one Pokemon?
Right.
There's a new mechanic in Pokemon where you go into, I think it's tall grass, and you run into like 5 Pokemon at once. They're really weak. Yeah.
That was the horde I was talking about.
Horde,
that's how,
yeah.
Yeah, that's how they termed it. Also, apparently there's mega evolutions.
Yep.
I've not seen it happen yet, but it was explained to me.
So yeah, you get a stone. So there's like a Charizardite, and it's basically in your inventory. And when you're fighting with it, it's very simple.
Charizardite.
Everything is real cheesy.
Yeah, and so when you're in battle, you activate it, and they mega evolve, but it's only for that battle. And the cool thing with like Charizard is there's actually 2 versions. There's Charizardite X and Charizardite Y. And one of them he turns into a black and blue version of Charizard, which is really sick, and the other one is just like, oh, whatever.
So it's only for one battle though?
Yeah, well you can it's not that you only have the Charizardite for one battle. It activates and it only lasts for that battle. So you can activate it every battle, but he's not going to be mega form out of battle, if that makes sense.
That sucks.
So it changes the mechanics though. I mean,
it also changes their types.
Right, it changes the type, so their stats are going to change a little bit if, what's more effective against them.
And you can only mega evolve 1 Pokemon per fight too.
So you can't be spamming.
You can't have Charizard comes in, mega evolves, and if he dies, you bring in Alakazam and he mega evolves. You can only have 1 per fight. I'm interested. Have you ever heard of shiny Pokemon?
No.
You have no idea what that is? Jordan, do you have any idea what that is?
Is that like you can get different colored versions of your Pokemon in the game, right?
Yeah, shiny Pokemon or shiny versions of Pokemon are a statistical anomaly that happens where I don't know the numbers, but it's like every 1 in 300,000, I think, you have a chance of getting and I could be off with these numbers, obviously. I'm doing this off the top of my head. But you have a chance to get a shiny Pokemon. For instance, I think the shiny Charmander is black, and the shiny Charizard is black. So it's basically you have this Pokemon and it's a different color. It's just really cool. It's like a collector's item. It's like, oh, you have Charizard level 100. I have a shiny Charizard level 100. It's a mechanic that wasn't in the first games because it was black and white. There's no point to have different colored Pokemon if they have no colors to begin with. There's whole things about this, Dom, that you don't even know about. There's shiny hatching, where if you get a Ditto from a foreign country and you get an American Pokemon, if you breed them, you have a higher chance of breeding a shiny Pokemon. So it's like this whole like second tier level thing in Pokemon where people spend time trying to hatch shiny versions of the Pokemon they like. And it's more of like a New Game Plus thing. Like if you finish the game, it's like, I want to get shiny versions, right? I'm just surprised you never even knew about this. It's cool because you can even like Google some of the versions, and some of the colors they choose are weird. Like shiny Pikachu is slightly more orange. You can't even really tell. Whereas, like I said, shiny Charmander I think is black. So it's a complete aesthetic difference. So it's cool. It's something to
just-
Google in your spare time to just check out.
Is there just the shiny versions, or are there like? I feel like I remember looking online and seeing like,
Dull.
you know, well, just like random Pokemon, like Gyarados. You could get like a purple Gyarados. or
No,
something.
there's
Is
only
that
two
a
versions of
thing?
Gyarados. There's regular Gyarados and red Gyarados. I could be butchering this. I think in Silver at that lake you can get a red Gyarados. I think you have a chance to. But yeah, there's not multiple colors. There's three versions of a Pokemon. There's its regular color, its shiny color, and its Mega color. But Mega is only obviously in battle if you Mega Evolve, and they don't always change color. So, but it is an interesting thing. Like, I know a lot of the Pokemon you're not familiar with, Dom, right? In the new X and Y.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd be interested to see if you ran into a Pokemon you're already familiar with, and you're like, oh, that's not the color I remember for it, and you actually run into a shiny. I didn't know about shinies for the longest time, so I never knew you could run into them, so I might have not even paid attention, you know?
I probably wouldn't notice if I did. But yeah, since you bring that up, I do like that. I have recognized a lot of the Pokemon I've run into. I mean, there's plenty that are brand new.
Yeah.
But they do a good job at, putting some of those original guys here and there. Like I ran into a Pidgey early on.
Yeah.
And a few others. I was like, oh yeah, I remember those guys.
They're very good at that, like making it new, but also making it familiar. Like,
Right.
Because for you haven't played in 15 years, and I think there would be a huge sense of detachment if you didn't have some familiar faces. You
Exactly.
know?
That's why I
If
was
the-
so pumped about the Charmander.
Yeah, if like you're a bunch of new Pokemon, you're like, I don't care about Doofus, Snoz, and Rainbow Head, you know?
Speaking of that, correct me, Jared. Was it just Black and White where? See, it kind of turned me off on Black and White, or at least I don't know about 2, but on the first one, you had to beat the game to even be able to see like the first original 150. Isn't that right?
Yeah, some games do that where they unlock certain types of Pokemon. In Black, there was original Pokemon in it. Like, you can get a Growlithe, you can get other types. But I think in Black and White, it opened up an area where there was you were more prone to running into a certain generation of Pokemon. Real quick, get into what we're going to be playing. Probably going to be playing some more Trials Fusion. Going to get back to Lords of the Fallen. And I'm going to see if I can get either Doom or Quantum Break on Redbox. Jordan hit me up with that smart idea, so I might end up doing that. Yeah, it's pretty much for me. Nothing crazy going on. What about you guys?
So yeah, I'm going to be playing Far Harbor hopefully this weekend.
So I'm going to be hopefully by next week I'll be nearing or have finished nearing the end or having finished Witcher Hearts of Stone so that I can be all prepared for Blood and Wine when it comes out at the end of the month. And then pretty sure that I'll be done with Quantum Break by next week. But then something I wanted to shout out, I totally forgot when I was talking about what I had been playing last week at the beginning of the show. I got Valkyria Chronicles Remastered for PS4 when it came out earlier this week. And it's really my first strategy game, to be honest. I played a little bit of the Blue Dragon sequel on DS. That was a strategy game. But other than that, I really haven't delved into strategy before or tactical role-playing games. So far, it's really good. I'm already about halfway through the game. I played a bunch of that this week, even though I forgot. But yeah, really enjoying Valkyria Chronicles Remastered. It's only $30 if you're looking for a solid strategy RPG. And, I mean, really, PS4 is just, like, dying for a good JRPG at this point. So it's good to have that. And definitely be playing that this upcoming week and maybe even finish it. So Valkyria Chronicles Remastered.
Sweet. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you're listening, please give us a like on iTunes if you're listening through there. Rate us if you can; it really helps. Like this on SoundCloud if you can. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. We're still trying to hit 50 followers, so like we said, we still have that giveaway happening once we hit that. So definitely, if you haven't yet, follow us on Twitter. Even if you don't use Twitter, just go and hit the follow button. We'll mention the giveaway once we hit 50 on our next podcast, following when we do that. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in episode 13. Any closing thoughts, guys?
Praise the sun.
May the Force be with you.
Goodbye, guys.
Thanks again, everyone, for watching and or listening. If you like what you heard, be sure to give those like and subscribe buttons a quick click. Every little contribution can help to make our channel grow. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at CTRLINT. That's Controlled Interest. See you later.